issue.
Here and also on the live stream. On behalf of the Swan Rural City Council, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land on which you meet and pay our respects to their elders past and present. I'll get Councillor Kelly to read the prayer.
We beseech you, Lord, that we may be granted wisdom, understanding and sincerity of purpose in the decisions we are called on to make for the welfare of the people of the rural city of Swan Hill.
Amen. Amen. Please be seated. We have all councillors present, so there's no apologies. The directors and officers present, we have Scott Barber, the CEO, sitting next to me, Bruce Myers, our Director of Community Cultural Services, Barn Pratap, our Director of Corporate Services, Leah Johnson, our new Director of Infrastructure. Welcome, Leah, to your first council meeting. Hope there's many more to come.
Thank you, Mayor. We
have Kate Jewell, the Development Manager, Dennis Hovden, the Economic and Development Manager, Alan Morris from HR, and Sharon Lindsay and Natalie Thompson's Executive Assistants. And Camille Cullinan is also in the gallery as well. Can I have the confirmation of the minutes scheduled meeting held on the 21st of March 2023? As I move and accept them minutes. Thank you, Councillor McKay. Seconded, Councillor King. All in favour? Carried. Is there any disclosure of conflict of interest? Silence as being none. There's no joint letters and reading of petitions. We do have a questions, councillors, so can I have a motion that we suspend standing orders? Moved Councillor McKay, seconded Councillor Kelly. All in favour? Carried. Rightio, the question is from Miss Alison Black. It's in relation to childproof gates at Bissasali Playground, Ronald Street petition. At the council meeting on the 20th of December 2022, council received the subject petition. Council asked the CEO to investigate the request and report the matter to a future council meeting. Can the CEO advise if he has investigated the request and when he intends to report the matter to a council meeting? And the second part, can council explain why Tower Hill Playground in Swan Hill has a childproof gate and Bissasali Playground in Ronvale does not? This question has been submitted on behalf of Helen Morris, the petitioner. Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Black, for the question. In short, Council and operationally, we have reviewed this request and we will be placing a gate on Bissasali Park. Our reasoning, we listened to the previous reasons why we should and should not. Our reasoning is a family with young children or people with young children at the park should be watching those children and attentive to them at all times. Having said that, if you do have a child who is technically known as a runner and they do decide they want to dart off for the road, it is very hard to stop that child, particularly if you're looking after more than one child. So we've found that we believe the best course of action is to fit a gate. So we're working on procuring a gate at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And I believe there has been a letter sent, an email sent to Helen Harris in relation to that as well, that response. All right, thank you. Can I have a motion that's the only question, councillors? Can I have a motion that standing orders moved? Councillor Moore, seconded Councillor Jeffrey, all in favour? Resume standing orders, thank you. All right. There's no one to speak in an open forum. No one's moving up. We'll go straight into the reports. The first report being Public Libraries Victoria Budget Submission. Mr. Myers.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillors. This report's actually providing an update to Councillors on the Public Libraries Victoria submission to the State Government's 23-24 budget for Victoria. Unfortunately, due to the timing, the Executive reviewed the proposal and the advocacy document, and a letter was sent through to the body in support of this under the hand of the CEO. But we felt it very worthwhile to ensure that Council was up to date with this pretty important advocacy. We also, if you have any questions, councillors, through you, Mayor, we also have Camille Cullinan here, our Library Manager, who has been heavily involved with all the aspects in the development of this advocacy paper. Obviously, libraries are expanding in what they do, but also over a period of time, the amount of funding that's been provided by the state government to local government has reduced. It hasn't been indexed according to inflation. And there are a number of issues such as provision of equipment, provision of freight, and also grant programs for the building and redevelopment of libraries has also not kept pace with other sectors. So this advocacy document, which I must point out is well worth a read if you haven't read it already, has quite a lot of influence and examples in there from Swan Regional Library, which is pretty special. And if you haven't seen the video that was done, I do encourage you to all look that up and have a check out of it. So they're the main thrusts within the advocacy, is to encourage the government to invest more state government money into public libraries via local government, particularly with those areas that I mentioned. And through you, Mayor, happy to answer any questions, or Ms Cullinan to answer any questions you might have.
Questions, councillors? Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. In financial implications, you talk about public library funding from the state has not been indexed to inflation, blah, blah, blah. Submission seeks to increase government input to ease the pressure on ratepayers. Can you just outline for our benefit and for the public's benefit, for ratepayers' benefit, what is the financial pressure on ratepayers in terms of how much the library portfolio, the net cost to ratepayers in the budget each year?
Yeah, through you, Mayor, to Councillor King. In the current budget and the draft 23-24 budget, it's approximately $1 million of ratepayers' money. There are various other income streams, but they're quite small. So yeah, it has crept up over time, just through the natural rising of costs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Kelly.
I'm happy to move the motion.
I'll just have a question before you move the motion, Councillor Kelly. I'll put that on. Just in relation to libraries, obviously there more services are coming into the libraries and more things are coming in. How do we, as a rural council, cope with digital services and that type of thing?
Yes, Mr Mayor. So we rely a lot on grants to be able to provide some of the digital services. We do provide very similar services. We do provide free Wi-Fi, which is requested by the state government, so it's not a service that we can charge for. And we have the computers, public access computers in the library, and we also have other technology like one-on-one support programs for the community members that come in and need support in learning how to use the technology.
And the people who use that technology, obviously the older generation, are they?
No, it's a range of people. So you do have younger people who are from lower socioeconomic backgrounds that can't afford to have internet at home. A lot of those will use the computers, or they can't afford to have they have their own devices. The older people, we do run programs more for the seniors to help them actually become technology savvy and be able to do the day-to-day things that they need to do, like paying bills and all the other things that all the government departments these days have to go online to be able to access their services. So they're really important services that we try to provide for the community.
And just one last question, with the school holidays, you run a few extra programs down there over the holiday periods?
We do. We have something on every day during the week, during the school holidays, and all of that's done with the existing staff that we have. We don't have any extra staff to do those things.
Thank you. Councillor Moore.
Can I just ask, possibly Mr Myers or Mr Pratap, what percentage of the funding does the state government contribute out of to run the library?
Through Mr Mayor, many years ago it was in the range of 60% funding from the state, I believe. It hasn't been 50-50 for some time, but at the moment it's probably, I think we worked out it's closer to about 80-20, about 20% of the running costs of the operational costs of the library services are provided by state funding, so it hasn't kept pace.
Yeah, so you answered my second question here. What's the historical nature?
Okay, thank you. Now, Councillor Kelly, you're going to move the motion.
Unless anyone else has a question.
No, I don't think there's any further questions.
I'd like to make a statement that it's a wonderful service.
Can we do that after the motion?
Oh, good idea. That's a great idea.
Councillor Kelly, you're moving the motion as per the recommendation. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Jeffrey, thank you. Wish to speak to that, Councillor Kelly?
Oh, yes, I would. Look, I think our library is a fantastic asset. It just builds the strength of our community in so many ways. Personally, libraries help people when they're new to town. They help students. They help with people being connected, and I think historically our library has been a well-loved and a wonderful service and place for education, and so many activities happen there, and groups and meetings. So this motion is important because it is an expensive service, and it's just another example of cost shifting that the state government doesn't take on, indexing the funding appropriately. So I think we need to support this push by Public Libraries Victoria, and I commend the staff for their work on it, and we need to improve and keep the library relevant and top standard.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Councillor Jeffrey.
Yeah, thank you. Firstly, I'd like to commend our library staff, both in Swan Hill and Robin Bar, who deliver the services, and volunteers. I'm a strong volunteer base here as well. I'm a pretty active user of the library. I take my kids to Spout every Saturday for story time in the morning and to borrow a number of books, and they absolutely love the library. It's good. They see friends from school and they get to interact with kids and families of different nationalities. So it is really a valuable service, and I think we need to be advocating for increase of funding, because there are, as Camille said, there are a number of different demographics that use the library. Last Saturday I saw a group of international people who live here, which English is a second language, and there was a member of the public who was a local who was helping them with their filling out some forms and understanding what some of the hard English words mean. So it's a great place for the community to gather and to learn. And I know, like during the school holidays with the Lego program and Minecraft, summer time, a bit of robotics, a bit of woodwork, and they're getting other community groups into the library to help out. So the impact of inflation and the lack of increase in funding on state government is putting out of this. Certainly strongly support this and call on the state government to lift their game in terms of funding the library, which used to be a state government fully funded, and it's just been handed to councils to run, which we do a good job, but the funding needs to make sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey. Any other speakers? Councillor Moore?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Yep, as Councillor Kelly alluded to, a classic case of cost shifting over time. Any recurrent grants that aren't indexed to inflation is an exercise in cost shifting, and this is it. At the same time, over time, libraries used to be just books, but now the range of services, it's more of a community hub. As much as anything, as Councillor Jeffrey has just said, it's a place to meet and meet people of similar values and meet a broad range of people that are in our community. So yeah, wholeheartedly support this push by VLV, and hope that we can get some success here. Cost shifting takes many forms, and this is just another one, and it's a big impost on smaller rural councils. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Any other speakers?
I was just going to congratulate Camille on her fabulous management of the library service, and also, as I was recently there at some Harmony Day meetings, also supporting the Harmony Day community and running the most successful community event. It was wonderful, and it just showed how the library brings us all together and creates a great venue. So thank you.
No other speakers? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Carried. I'd just like to comment on the, Camille mentioned there, and it was mentioned in that conversation, the volunteers. There's a lot of volunteers at the library that make it work as well. So,
Question. Public meeting, the door should be open, should it not? Yep.
all right. Okay, next report is the draft memorandum of understanding between Swan Rural City Council and VHM Limited with the Goshen Mineral Sands project. Mr. Hovenden, I believe you're taking this one.
I am indeed. Mr. Mayor and Council, good afternoon. About 30 minutes outside of Swan Hill, there is the possibility of an exciting project being developed, and that is the proposed Goshen Mineral Sands project. The company VHM, which is a company based within over in Perth, are going through a process to get all of the different approvals required for that project, and they have a hope and expectation that by late this year, early next year, construction will commence on the site, and as a result of that construction in 2025, they will look to start extraction of the mineral sands and develop their mining operation, which they believe has a life expectancy of about 20 to 25 years. It is an exciting project, and it has the opportunity through the construction phase for 270 people to be employed. Once mining is being undertaken, 500 people. So it is a significant project for our municipality and our adjoining neighbours in Gannawarra, and to a lesser extent in the Bulla Shire. As a part of the process, VHM are required to undertake a number of different processes, and Ms Jewell might like to comment on the environmental impact statement and planning process of being undertaken. But one of the key documents is that they have to work with both Swan Hill Rural City Council and the Gannawarra Shire with respect to a memorandum of understanding. It is a high-level strategic document that sets the scene on how this council, in particular, will actually work going forward into the future with VHM on some of the key issues and some of the key areas that are attached to a development of a project of this size. As I said, the MOU is a high-level strategic document. It sets out probably 4 key areas around the social outcomes and impacts, economic outcomes, building relationships not only with council but with key stakeholders and, more importantly, communities that are in close proximity to the mine, e.g. Ultima, and how the operation can actually provide, maintain, enhance the physical infrastructure and, importantly, address issues around cultural and environmental matters relating to the mine. One of the key features of the MOU is that there is a desire to establish a relationship with the council that would see us advocate on key projects such as housing, future infrastructure. Roads obviously will be of a keen interest to this council and the community. So the document sets the scene. It isn't the end of the work with the council. It actually establishes a framework on how we will work together. It breaks up those 4 areas that I've alluded to, Mr Mayor, into subcommittees, and the council will have representation on the subcommittees, and we will continue to work alongside VHM, utilising appropriate council resources and work with them to enhance the community and to maximise the benefits of the organisation, of the operation. With a great opportunity like this, certainly there comes challenges, and we as the council will need to be fully aware and conversant with those challenges and put in place strategies that will overcome any challenges as a result of the operation going ahead. The document, if signed, as I said, will set the scene for the council to work into the future. The recommendation to the council is that, having considered the document, we agree to the signing of the document. There are a couple of minor changes. I think there was a spelling mistake, and there was also a couple of suggestions that the council has put in. Very mindful of the need not to be put into a position where we have to take full responsibility for matters around local roads, for example, if they're impacted by the operation. And a number of councillors did make mention when this was previously discussed that currently we're dealing with one particular company, that is VHM, but into the future, there is some level of confidence that the council would need to have that if there was a subsequent takeover of VHM into the future, that any new company was able to sit at the table, was willing to sit at the table with the council and continue in the spirit of the MOU that the council is contemplating signing. The recommendation also suggests that once the council, if they agree to the signing of the document, really begin to commence the planning for the work that is undertaken as a result of the MOU. We do have some time to get ready for what is coming, and it is suggested that with such a significant project on our back doorstep, because Swan Hill will become a regional centre of focus and interest, that we as officers report back to the council on a regular basis the progress that we are making with the MOU and also the ongoing benefits to the municipality as a result of the project. So, Mr Mayor and councillors, I commend the report to you and also commend the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr Hovering. Questions, councillors? Councillor Kelly.
I just had 3 questions. Has it been necessary to get any legal advice on this document?
Through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Kelly, no, there's been no legal advice.
Yep. And just in regards to part 3 of the motion, the proposed motion, and the other parts of the document, just taking into consideration the amount of time that council staff would be required to spend on this work to undertake, the work to be undertaken that is contained in this document. Just if you've got any ballpark of hours per week or days per week that this document is going to require our council staff to be involved.
Through you, Mayor, Councillor Kelly, I envisage that a lot of the work that is highlighted in this document is work that council and council officers in general are currently undertaking. E.g., if I pick up on housing, we certainly as the Economic Development Unit and the Planning Department are already involved in all aspects of housing, which can then drop into this arrangement with VHM. So I think that we will have an appropriate level of support. Obviously there will be the need to attend meetings as the project nears operational level, but I think it is a balance of the things that we're working on at the moment and making sure that we're not over-servicing this particular project and we're putting it in context with every other project that we've got going.
Yep, and then just on page 1 of the report, it says that it's going to go on public exhibition March, April. Well, we're nearly over. Kate, is that being pushed back now? The exhibition for the EES or the EIS actually?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Kelly, I believe there's just some final matters that are being dealt with at DECA, who's the authority that looks after that. So, and there was a timing issue with another EES that was in process, and they didn't want one to sort of overshadow the other. So, there's sort of strategic decisions that are made at a state government level.
And just lastly, I haven't had any local people call me about this issue, but just making sure that we get the voices of the local people who are from Goshen, that are our citizens. Just that we make sure we listen to them, because currently I haven't heard from any of them.
Mr Hovering.
Through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Keller, we've certainly been very active in highlighting to the business network here in Swan Hill the potential benefits for this project around employment, value adding as a result of the project, going local businesses here being able to support through the construction phase. We also took the opportunity to go as an economic development unit to the Ultima community.
Yes.
And we spent the day in the Ultima community meeting with the local people there, just exploring what the project was. We also took the opportunity to have a look at the intermodal hub and the roads in and around leading to the intermodal hub, so that we were fully aware of some of the potential areas that we're going to have to focus on. So at every opportunity, we've been trying to promote the fact that this project is progressively coming, and that there are opportunities there, and that everyone will be afforded a chance to be provided more information. VHM themselves have been very, very active in community information sessions, both online and also attending local community meetings as well.
Yep, I did hear at the local Ultima Progress Association last week positive things about it, but I'm just also wary that I want to be able to know if there's people who don't want to have the mine there, or are concerned about the extra trucks coming into Ultima, that kind of issue. That's all.
Well, thank you.
Lee.
Questions?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Kate.
That's okay, just a comment, Mr Mayor, with regards to the people that are within Swan Hill municipality that will be more directly impacted. That was front and centre from the get-go, that they're called receptors, are identified. We have three families that are within the 5 kilometre radius, and the treatment of these families or receptors is not dissimilar to when families or people live within proximity to wind farms and these sorts of facilities, that they receive ex gratia payments from VHM or from the proponents, and that's being negotiated currently. Within Gannawarra Shire, I think there's 3 people that are being relocated, so they're having new homes constructed for them. Fortunately, they have large properties, so they can relocate, they can have a new dwelling built.
Yeah.
The 3 families that are on the medium road, they are all totally comfortable, and I've made sure that they've been engaged. They've been engaged now for over a year. So, so there is that level of comfort that I've got, that they are being adequately catered for.
Thank you. Councillor Jeffrey.
The question on the social implication and the housing. If you look at the construction phase of 250 people, and if each person lived in a 3-bedroom house, it's 80 3-bedroom houses, not allowing them to bring in families. And when they're at full construction, I think 470 in the report, that's 156 3-bedroom houses. So what are VHM going to be doing to address the housing issue, which is a crisis across Australia, as Swan Hill and the surrounds are certainly in a position where there are no rentals available? What are they going to do to address housing? So that's a big issue to get this off the ground. They can't house and they can't get workers, so it's pushing other families out to have a bigger social implication.
Through you, Mayor, Councillor Jeffrey, obviously housing, not only for this project, but housing in general, right across the nation, is a key issue and an impediment. So under this project, it's not going to be a fly-in, fly-out minor arrangement, and that's certainly an issue that the residents of Ultima were concerned with initially. The idea is that the company will transport within an hour's travelling distance from the mine site. So obviously Swan Hill comes into play, Kerrang comes into play, Lake Boga comes into play. So they're going to obviously be looking for opportunities for housing, and I think it probably demonstrates the importance of the work that Council is currently doing with a number of different housing strategies, and indeed, rather timely, we just received a final report back on the small towns audit, and Ultima has been identified as one that requires further investigation, and indeed in the draft plan there is a way that you could actually consolidate some land and create more housing there, in part to answer the solution. And I think that's why it's important that the Council needs to sit at the table with VHM and look at this key issue on how we're going to do it. Are we going to house all 500 workers? I suspect probably not, but you would think that we're going to get a large percentage of them, and so we need to start work and identify where we're going to find those houses now, rather than wait to when 500 people are descending upon us. So we will continue that work and dovetail this project into the work that we're currently doing, and probably goes back to the comment I made to Councillor Kelly about the work that we're doing alongside this project is so important to support this project, and particularly in the area of housing.
Thank you.
Any further questions, councillors? I'll have one question, Mr. Hovden. In relation to our neighbouring municipality, Gannawarra,
Yes.
they're obviously going to sign a similar MOU, and it'll be along the same lines. Do we work with them, so we're not working against them in this whole process?
To you, Mr. Mayor, it's your question. Yes, you are correct. The MOU with Gannawarra is very much similar to this at the high level, and then it will become Gannawarra specific, as ours is Swan Hill specific. However, through our conversations with VHM, we made that point. We don't want to actually go in a different direction, and we want to work in a collaborative manner so that we can secure the best possible outcome, not only for us but also for our neighbours at Gannawarra. So once the work starts, a whole lot of information has been fed back to VHM on how we see we can coordinate our efforts with Gannawarra, and that includes at an appropriate time through the project sitting around the table with all parties and making sure that we're not at cross purposes in the work that we're doing.
Right, thank you. There's no further questions. Motion, Councillor King.
Yeah, happy to move as per recommendation.
As per recommendation, and seconded Councillor Kelly. Wish to speak to that, Councillor King?
Yeah, thank you. I note first up that VHM have made a shareholder announcement today that they have appointed Mineral Technologies, which is a company of Downer, for phase 1 detailed design. So these guys are obviously very serious because that's a huge commitment for them to make. So that's a significant announcement today. However, onto the motion. Memorandum of Understanding, I think the information that's presented is great. It obviously demonstrates the direct and indirect benefits that this sort of project can bring to not just our municipality, but not just the Gannawarra municipality either, but beyond, further beyond both of those municipalities, because it'll be, whilst there's significant direct requirements of the mine, some of those, there's also significant indirect benefits. I'm talking about businesses, trades, manufacturing, all those sort of types of businesses that will be required to provide both human resources and physical resources for various aspects of the construction project and the ongoing operational project of the mine as well. There's also, we talk about housing as well. What an opportunity for property developers and property investors to really have a crack in both this municipality and the Gannawarra municipality to be prepared, because it's going to take, as Councillor Jeffrey pointed out, there's going to be significant housing requirements. So there's an opportunity there for developers to get involved, and perhaps potentially there's an opportunity for council to get involved in a partnership with a developer to be able to facilitate some of the housing that's going to be required for this for this mine development. I think one of the things an MOU does is it mitigates the risk. So it's good that we're on the front foot with a memorandum of understanding with VHM, with our neighbours in Gannawarra as well. And I think, as Mr Hovden pointed out, that the opportunity to work together with Gannawarra so that we're not working against them is a good one for us to use going forward as well. And this really sets up a partnership with VHM. And for me, as a councillor, as a representative of the ratepayer of the municipality of Swan Hill, I think that's a really good outcome for us as a council and and for a region as well, that we're with them, we're at the table with them to provide the best outcomes for the people of our municipality. So support the MOU wholeheartedly, and this is a great opportunity for our region. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor King. Councillor Kelly.
I am glad to see this MOU develop to this stage, and this project does elicit excitement, but also caution. So I'm hoping that this project can provide a critical mass to Swan Hill that it's long needed to stimulate new opportunities like housing, perhaps push along our improvements in our hospital that is so needed, and other things that we kind of dream of, but we just don't have that critical mass of population to get them over the line. So I'm also hoping that there's the royalties can come back to us, and I'm sure we all are hoping that. And that we can avoid any negatives that can come from this type of development.
Thanks, Councillor Kelly. Any other speakers? Councillor Long?
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Well, what this says to me is Swan Rural City Council better get our act together and get out of first gear in terms of development for our developers to build houses. This memorandum of understanding and the numbers of workers required here probably represents about half of what's coming on stream in the next 5 years. We've got Lake Bogus Citrus, which is going to be requiring another 50 to 70 workers. Almond processing facilities on a cross-border issue, which is another 50 to 100. Pistachio processing, our growing manufacturing sector. The sky's the limit at the moment, and we're all held up with housing. So from a council's point of view, we really need to get things happening. But we also need the support of the state government to come with us, not just our partnership here with, or our memorandum of understanding with VHM. We need the state government to realise that people have to be housed, and this intransigence with getting our rezonings happening, taking over up to 5 years, has just got to stop. We have to get things moving. And a development like this really exacerbates, on top of all the other development that's happening in Swan Hill. We just need to start shaking some trees to get things happening. This is really a magnificent thing. Not all the workers will be housed in Swan Hill. They will be around the place, but this is a real strength through our army and advocacy, particularly for the hospital. I feel where we're not going to build one phase and then wait. We really need to keep that building, get that second story on top of the new new emergency department down there. Just keep going, because Swan Hill is going to be the place to be. We'll be firing on all cylinders very soon. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Councillor Young.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think I probably just want to top off on what everybody's said, but we did have an excellent presentation from the VA Chair at a recent assembly, and it was exciting and positive, and it's just such a great development for our city, our region, and right across the whole area. So it focused on employment, housing, health, community facilities, education, and many other areas that are going to be very positive for the Swan Hill region, and I just think it's a wonderful venture that we should be supporting.
Thank you. Councillor Jeffrey.
I was speak for. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to reiterate, great opportunity for Swan Hill municipality, not just Swan Hill the township, but as well as Coang, Ultima, Goshen and surrounds. But yes, like Councillor Moore and Councillor King said around that housing and investment. I mean, we do have a number of blocks in Swan Hill and around that are ready for development. Got land down Rural Coronation, bit of Yana, Dead Horse Lane, Sea Lake Swan Hill Road that are just waiting on land titles. So there's a lot happening. We're just waiting for, I guess, those developers and investors to move it along a little bit. So there should be, I'd hope, a commitment by council and VHM that pushes the ball along and gets them investing in developing housing as soon as possible. Because, as Councillor Moore said, with the other industries that are booming around our municipality and across the border, there's a lot going on, and we need housing, not just for people that are looking for houses now, but for what we know is coming. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no other speakers. I put the motion. All in favour? Carried. And I'd just like to add, as the report states, the MOU will be in place for initial 3 years with an annual review, which is pleasing to see too. We can update it if it needs to be. All right. Next report is 23.19, update to community and events policy. Mr Hovland, over to you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, this report has come to the Council for a couple of reasons. The policy needed to be reviewed, and then secondly, as a result of last year's application process, the Council found itself in a position where not all of the funds were allocated as a result of the process being undertaken, and there was an amount of money left over, which then actually, during the course of the year, saw supplementary applications come before the Council, and that wasn't allowed for under the grants policy. So the Council, in December of last year, having noted that not all of the funds were fully utilised, wanted a review of the policy to determine whether, in the event going forward, that if there were surplus funds under the program, whether the council would actually then entertain having a second round of funding rather than the current situation with respect to receiving ad hoc applications. So the policy, the recommendation is suggesting and recommending to the council that in the future event that there is uncommitted funding after the initial round, then the council would, under this policy, call for a second round of funding. So all of the other processes remain in place. We're just about to go out and advertise to the community for the next round of community events and grants. It's an unknown. Last year, as I said, the funding was undersubscribed. This year we might face a situation where it is oversubscribed. You just don't know what you're going to get. However, with the change to the policy, the council then are able to make a determination if we face another fully subscribed situation. The council can then go out at an appropriate time for a second round of funding. So the recommendation is commended to the council to alter the policy to reflect a second round of funding in the event that there is surplus funds. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Councillor Kelly.
I just had a question. Would that mean that we advertise that there's funding applications due that date and funding applications due that date? So we're really just running 2 per year.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Kelly, the current process is we will call for applications in about a fortnight's time. They are then assessed by the committee that has been established under the policy, involving both councillors, the CEO and supporting officers. It will come to the council for the June council meeting, and then the council will make a decision as to what is in the report, and the successful and unsuccessful organisations are notified in July. Once that has occurred, if, under the example Councillor Kelly has indicated, there was funding left over, we would then have to make a decision on when we were going to advertise a second round of funding.
So it would be transparent?
Yes.
Yep. Thank you.
A question along the similar lines, basically. This policy isn't stopping us spending all the money in the first instance. So those community groups that want the money are ready to go, we can spend it all, because this money is important to those community groups.
Yeah, this is a very important program the council has. There's a budget allocation associated with both event support and community grants. The council will, the committee receives all of the applications. Some clubs, under the policy, the maximum amount that an organisation, a club, can request is $5,000. Not surprisingly, some organisations go up to $5,000. Other clubs and organisations are at different amounts. So the committee has a look at all of the applications, assess them against a set criteria, and then they make recommendations to the council. In the past, it's been oversubscribed and by a great deal. Last year was probably unique, that it was undersubscribed by, in one of the categories, about $25,000.
That could have just been carried to the next year, couldn't it?
I believe, through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Kelly, yes, there's the option of carrying it forward.
Surplus, then we allocated as how the council decides.
Just doesn't go into the same bucket.
No, it might not go to the same bucket, Mr. Mayor, if electors decide otherwise.
All right. Okay, if there's no further questions, councillors, I'll ask for a motion. Councillor Jeffrey.
As per the recommendation, thank you.
Moved Councillor Jeffrey, seconded Councillor Moore. Thank you. Wish to speak to that, Councillor Jeffrey?
Yeah, just quickly, there's a policy that we have changed a few times since 2016, but before COVID kicked in, we had some really strong community groups that were on the front foot and they knew what they wanted to do for the next upcoming calendar year. They had all the ducks lined up to put their application in. Last year, for the spanner on the works, we were under committed, so we that's the reason we're including the option for the second round, that if we do have money left over, that we can still give any new events or any community groups that want to run something the opportunity to still utilise the funding that we budgeted before. So support the change and the way that our community groups continue to deliver good events throughout our municipality. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey. Councillor Moore?
Yeah, just reiterating Councillor Jeffrey's words, and Mr. Hobbiton there, pre-COVID, always massively oversubscribed, and that's what's thrown the spanner in the works. Community groups have taken a while to get themselves back and organised. I think it's important to note that it's not all cash, so there's a lot of payment in kind for road closures and permit application, discounts sort of thing. So there's all sorts of things, ways that we actually contribute. But very, very important for the community health and well-being, I see it, and community participation. When communities organise things, there's no arguments, there's virtually no people protesting about the things going ahead. These things are always work very well, and the council is always happy to support them. It's one of my favourite programs, the events policy and the community support fund. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Any other speakers? No other speakers, no other speakers against the motion. I put the motion, all in favour? Carried. Our next one, Mr. Hockerland, 23.20 recreational vehicle friendly policy.
Mayor and councillors, council has a rolling program of whereby its policies and procedures are regularly reviewed, and the recreation vehicle friendly policy has come to that point where it required a review. Pleasingly, it didn't require any significant change. There was some formatting, I understand, as to the document. The intent of the document is still clear, and the intent of the document that the council encourages recreation vehicles and the occupants of those vehicles to visit our municipality and enjoy our municipality, but more importantly support our businesses, is still there. And so the recreational vehicle friendly policy relates to those towns within our municipality that don't have proper structured caravan parks such as Robinvale, Swan Hill and Lake Bogan. And it's more to the point with respect to a location like Naya, where you can go and park your recreational vehicle there and access the facilities there, including the dump point. So there are no significant changes to the policy. It has been reviewed, and the recommendation is that the council, I commend the recommendation of the council, is that they adopt the policy as presented.
Questions, councillors?
How many RV-friendly towns have we got in our municipality? I know that Naya has got a facility. Is there any others?
Pineangle.
Oh yeah, Menangatine. There's Pineangle. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Menangatine has too.
Yeah. Great. I move the motion as recommended.
Move the motion for the recommendation. Thanks, Councillor McKay. Seconded. Councillor Jeffrey, thank you. Wish to speak to that, Councillor McKay?
Oh yeah, I think it's a great policy. It's shown in Naya. It's keeping a solid number of people visiting the town and staying and spending their money in the community, and also having the benefit of free camping, which is a great thing for seniors and grey nomads. And I think there are a number of towns, including Boundary Bend, that are perfect locations, and we need more facilities that encourage people to stay. People want to visit the river forest along the Murray, and so yeah, great policy. Let's keep it up.
Thanks, Councillor McKay. Councillor Jeffrey.
Yes, just to support the motion and the adoption of the policy, and just reiterate we are is to continue working our municipality to make sure that our commercial caravan parks are being impacted by council and community groups setting up essentially a free RV-friendly campsite. But where we have seen them on the Night West, Menangatine, Pineangle, we feel there's another one, can't recall off the top of the head, but allows a place for people that are caravanning to stop, spend a couple of days and enjoy the environment, enjoy the small towns, and get out and about to some of our local parks and forests. So I think this continues to maintain that balance and supports any future applications. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? No other speakers? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Overton. And our next report is the B23.21, Councillor Expenses and Policy and Procedure. Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll take this policy as read and take any questions from councillors if need be.
No, I'm happy to move the motion as written.
If there's no questions, I'll take the motion. Yep, Councillor McKay is moving the motion. Seconded, Councillor King. Wish to speak to that, Councillor McKay?
Oh, very briefly, it's really important that councillors' behaviour is perfectly transparent, and this document specifies exactly how we have to describe when we've received any gifts or not received any gifts as it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor King?
Nothing further to add.
Any other speakers? Councillor Kelly?
I just would like to say that we're promoting women standing for election in the upcoming 2014 election, and it's good to be able to make it known that there are expenses, if you incur expenses while you're a councillor, that you can get reimbursed, because that makes it more attractive for, it's not just wealthy retired people who can be a councillor. You can be a councillor, put your time in, but you're not going to be out of pocket so much. I remember when I was a councillor previously and I had very young children, including a newborn baby, I had to use childcare quite a bit, and my childcare was reimbursed, so that made a big difference to me. We want to have councillors who are across the spectrum in our municipality, and you shouldn't be deterred from being a councillor if you're a young mother. So, yeah, it's a good policy.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Any other speak? Councillor Jeffrey?
So I support it, and just for the public that we are reporting, this is reported quarterly, I'm pretty sure, in the council meeting, so there's also being transparent and people get to see what councils are spending or being reimbursed for. Thank you.
There's no other speakers. I'll put the motion. All in favour? Carried. I'll just add that, as Councillor Kelly mentioned, it is about getting a true representation of the community on council. And the councillors of the day actually decide when the meetings are held. If the meetings have been held in the night of past, and that's an option up to the council as well. But there are a lot of expenses are covered to enable we get a good cross-representation of our community. Thank you. All right. Mr. Pratap, our B23.22, Financial Hardship Policy and Procedure.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This policy was brought before the Council on 21st of February 2023, and Council has approved the policy for public consultation. It was publicly consulted through the Let's Talk page of the Council's Facebook, and two views, no comments. And I commend this policy to the Council with the recommendation that the Council adopts the updated financial hardship policy and procedure as presented.
Thank you. Questions at all, councillors? No questions. I'll ask for a motion. Councillor King, as per the recommendation.
As per recommendation.
Seconded, Councillor Jeffrey. Thank you. Wish to speak to that, Councillor King?
Briefly, again, with this policy, it's very clear what Council's policy and procedures are in relation to financial hardship. There's opportunities for people that are experiencing financial hardship and other circumstances that might prevent them from paying council rates or for other council services. So it's clearly defined. Opportunities are there. So I just encourage people that might need help to contact council as per the procedure that's outlined. To seek that support and that assistance, and I support this policy and procedure. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor King. Councillor Jeffrey?
Nothing further.
Any other speakers? No other speakers. I'll put the motion. All in favour? Carried. All right, our next one, 23.23, Governance Rules Update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report is based on the Local Government Act, the requirement for the Council to adopt and maintain government rules. These were originally adopted by the Council in August 2020. The legislation requires that the proposed amendments to the Act that were required to be reflected in our governance rule. The major changes are listed on page bottom of page 84, 85, and on 86 and top of 87. I would not go through the list of changes, Mr. Mayor, unless any of the councillors wants me to discuss. We will be happy to take questions, assisted by Helen Morris.
Questions of all councillors? Councillor Jeffrey.
One question on the ability to conduct hybrid meetings. So some councillors may be in the room and a councillor may be home sick and still participating. Well, if we're going to need some investment in infrastructure, is that on the plans, or what is council going to allow that to happen? So in terms of being the public being able to see that council by grabbing up on the case. Question, well, through the mayor, so
yeah.
Through the mayor, thank you, Councillor Jeffrey, for the question. We have asked and put aside some budget. We need to look at the video conference equipment and come back to council with equipment that actually can zoom in, so the public can see people's faces better, can hear us better. To do those things would, I believe, give councillors more confidence to move to a hybrid setup for formal council meetings. That is something that we have put into the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kelly.
Oh, and just on that we could possibly sit in Robinvale once a year or twice a year. That would also be good if the equipment could be.
Through the mayor, thank you, Councillor Kelly, for the question. The intent, and again I put this onto the IT team, is we need equipment that works, but we want it to be portable, to your point. So can we take it to Robinvale, hook it up? It doesn't. We don't need a whole IT team to hook it up. It should be something that I could put together or someone in this room. So that's a challenge that we put back to the team. Yep. We want that to happen so we can go further into the community.
Yep. And the question I had was with public question time procedure. At the start of our meeting, we have public question time, and we also have a thing called open forum. So does this policy cover public open forum?
Yes, it does.
So there's page 144 is public question time. Just is open forum there as well?
Yeah, open forum is in the document, yes.
Yeah.
I remember reading that, yep.
My thing with public question time is that we don't want to make it too difficult for people to participate in public question time. So I can see here that we have to have a letter to the CEO by 10 a.m. the previous day. You know, I would prefer it to be people can just come and ask a question, and I would like to see that we allow people to ask the question themselves rather than be read out by the CEO. So I think we can tweak that to have that. I just think participatory democracy is really important, and if we make it too difficult for people, they just won't come. So I think it would be great if people could come along to the council meeting, stand up, be directed by the mayor that they can ask a question. I think we're up to that, and it happens in many councils. So I'm not really that happy with this iteration of public question time procedure, because I don't think we're not getting anyone doing it. So I think it speaks for itself, really. I suppose that's how would we go about changing that? We'd need to discuss it as a council and move a motion, and
we probably need to get a bit more understanding of what exactly you want. Probably take it offline from the meeting today and take it back through the assembly process. We'll look at how other councils. And the purpose of the question time is to give notice, some notice, depending on the CEO and the mayor will have to give an understanding of what the question might be. There needs to be a bit of research done prior to the question, gives them the understanding of the context of the question, helps them.
I do understand that, but not every council does that. Yeah, because you can just take it on notice.
Yeah, no one's chosen to use the open forum section of these meeting procedures.
No.
That's a new procedure that's coming under this new Local Government Act.
Yeah.
And that allows for what you're asking for, people in the gallery to come forward and ask a relevant question.
It does.
You've got public question time. It's a similar thing.
Okay.
It's a similar thing. The open forum allows people in the gallery to come forward and ask a question or ask a concern of council at that time. And the question time is the question we received today in today's meeting was from a person in Rockvale. They chose not to come down, and it gives them a really. They could have chose to come down and read that question out themselves.
As part of open forum.
Yeah, as a part of public question time.
Yeah.
Because they've submitted the question.
Yeah.
They chose not to. So
I'd like to see the open forum part of our meeting publicised to the community, because I don't think the community know they can do it. Because it is new. It was only put in a couple of months ago. As far as I know.
It is only relatively new since my time on council, it's open forum, and I believe it's since the Local Government Act 2020, the new act that came in. And at that point we might have to look at some advertising and
maybe the Guardian will pick up on this if they're watching.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just to add on to that, Mr. Mayor, that the members of the public have got two opportunities to put the question to us. One by email a day before to CEO, so that gives us enough time to prepare the response. And any member of the committee can come into the forum here and ask the question at the public forum time.
Okay. See, I wasn't actually clear on that. Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. If there's no further questions, councillors, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll move it.
Yep. Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Seconded.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey. Councillor Kelly, wish to speak to that?
Just to say that it's important that we have these governance rules really ready, up to date and ready for us, that we comply with direction of the state government, and that they are fit for purpose, and that we understand them, because they are the rules that we abide by, and what we do is. So thank you to the officers for keeping them up to date for us.
Thank you. Councillor Jeffrey?
No, thank you.
Any other speakers? No other speakers? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Carried. All right. Next report, 23.24, application of 21-22 rates surplus. Mr. Pratak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report was discussed at the Assembly, and we have reported $790,000 surplus for the financial year 21-2022. And the 790, we are recommending that 475,000 to be allocated to the Waste Management Reserve, Capital Works Improvement Project, 60,000 Swan Hill Integrated Transport and Land Use Strategy. Just want to remind the Council that this was initially allocated through the current year's surplus, projected surplus. Now we have pushed back 60,000 so that that's get approved and the project can start. And 255,000 Lake Boga Southern Entrance Project. I would not go through the details of the mathematics unless there's any question.
Questions, all councillors? There's no questions. I'll ask for a motion.
I'll move the motion as per the recommendation.
Moved Councillor Moore, thank you. Seconded Councillor Jeffrey, thank you. Wish to speak to that, Councillor Moore?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, a sensible distribution of the rate surplus here. We're sort of paying back what we borrowed from other projects, albeit we haven't paid back all of the Lake Boga Southern Entrance Project, which is a very important project. It's not the exact entrance to Swan Hill, but it is the sort of unofficial entrance to our municipality, and the beautification works there that are slated in the future, which we've already seen some mock-ups of. It looks like it'll be a great entrance. So a sensible distribution there. The Waste Management Reserve, the money was borrowed there for another project, and that is the composting facility, and we need the money back in there to prepare ourselves for our further management of our waste out there at the local site, and of course, as announced recently by the state government, the container deposit scheme is coming in, and so that gives us some certainty over the four-stream system, I should say, that council will be rolling out over the next couple of years. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Councillor Jeffrey.
Rather special. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council has, in my opinion, a really good 10-year financial plan of where we are reducing our debt, reducing interest that our ratepayers pay on loans, and we don't budget to have large surpluses. I think originally it was 102,000 surplus. To get to $790,000 certainly wasn't planned, and most of that was through the savings, well, not being able to employ people, basically. So staff wages, and then there's some operational costs, the electricity, insurance that has reduced, and a few other savings along the way. So to be able to put this money back into predominantly the waste management reserve is essentially making sure that strategically we're trying to reduce the cost that waste management will have on our ratepayers going into the future, which we know waste management in particular is getting more and more expensive. So I'm happy with the allocation, support the motion and the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey. Councillor Young.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to talk particularly about point number 3, being the Lake Bayer representative onto their body down there. It's going to be a pleasure to be able to say to people, well, it is happening now and it's going to be happening very soon, because lots of people have been asking about it. It's probably one of the biggest questions I'll get asked. So I just want to say how pleasing it is to see that going ahead.
Thank you, Councillor Young. Any other speakers? No other speakers? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Carried. All right, our next report, 23.25 of the Council Plan Progress Report for the third quarter of 22-23. Mr. Pratat.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report is on the progress report for the third quarter of 22-23 Council Plan. The report is required under the Section 90 of the Local Government Act 2020, where Council developed and adopted a 4-year Council Plan on 26th of October 2021. The report provides the progress on individual pillars of the plan, Mr. Mayor, and the details of that is presented on page 155 onwards. I would not read the report, but I'll be happy to take questions if there's any.
Questions at all, councillors? Councillor Kelly.
I just had one about the item number 3.2.1.3, support our Aboriginal community to work towards a treaty or treaties. I was wondering if there would be opportunity for getting involved in the issue of the voice to Parliament and the constitutional recognition.
I don't think that that's not part of our council plan initially, and that's a federal government issue, not a local government issue, I believe. So I don't know what the other councils believe. That's a question that's not for the office to answer. I think that's for council, and I think I'm getting nods around the room that it's they believe that's a state government or a federal government issue, not local government. So we shouldn't be involved in that process.
What's the work towards? What's treaty then?
That's with the state. That's a state.
Is that a treaty?
That's a state government treaty. That's a state policy.
Oh, okay. So if we wanted to do anything to do with constitutional recognition and the voice, that would be, we would need to move a motion.
Move a motion, exactly, yes.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? No questions, I'll ask for a motion. Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey. As per the recommendation, do I have a second for that?
Mr. Mayor. Yep.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Wish to speak to that, Councillor Jeffrey?
Yeah, just quickly, thank you to the officers that put a lot of time into pulling the report together. It does show the progress that council are making works or buildings or services around the municipality, and encourage any of the public to have a look on the council plan and the report, just to get an update on how things are tracking. It's often pretty easy to read. It's one of the easiest documents that council produce, but gives anyone to understand what we're doing and how we're progressing. If we're on target, off target, or not going to achieve it, etc. Thank you.
Councillor Kelly, you wish to speak to that?
Yeah, look, just to say that it's really great that we've moved progress on so many of these items. There are a few that haven't quite moved, but considering what's been going on, I think it's a real credit to the staff and everybody for, having their shoulder to the wheel.
Thank you. Any other speakers? No other speakers? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Carried. Our next report is the S5 Instrument of Delegation to the CEO, Mr. Pratap.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The report is in accordance with Section 11 of the Local Government Act. It requires us that every quarter we will review and refresh the council delegation, and if there's any changes that needs to be brought before the council for the approval. The only changes as per this report is that the S5 with respect to the expenditure limitations, as we may recall, Section 11.5 of the Local Government Act 2020 states that the delegation that includes the power to make any expenditure must specify a maximum monetary limit that cannot be exceeded. We have made the necessary changes in our delegation, Mr. Mayor, and it's recommended that the council adopt the delegation as presented. This has been checked by Maddox, and a letter is attached behind the report. Happy to take questions, Mr. Mayor.
Councillors?
Movers.
Just one question, Mr. Pratap, probably in relation to both anyway, the S5 and S6. At any time, councillors can revoke that delegation anyway if they chose to move it.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor, but then they will be required to do the CEO's job.
I don't want his job. All right, no worries. Thank you, Mr. Pratap.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Kelly moving as per the recommendation.
Yes.
Seconded for that.
Awesome.
Councillor King, thank you. Wish to speak to that, Councillor Kelly?
Not really, thank you.
Councillor King?
Nothing to add.
I'll put the motion. All in favour? All right, the next one is our S6 delegations. The delegations to council staff. Mr. Pratap.
That's a similar report, Mr. Mayor, which delegates the responsibility to the council staff, either through councillors or through the CEO. The only changes in this report, Mr. Mayor, is that the execution of S6 instrument has been amended to enable council CEO to sign the instrument where the resolution has been made by the council for a CEO to sign the instrument. And then the regulation 25A and B of the Planning Environment Regulation 1987 has been slightly amended to the Planning and Environment Amendment Regulation 2022 to refer to the public availability requirement. And third part, Section 52 of the Cemeteries and Cremations Act 2003 has been inserted relating to the duty to report annually to the Secretary. So those are the major changes to the Section 6 delegation, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Pratap.
Any questions?
Questions, all councillors? Just for the community, Mr. Pratap, these delegations, if we didn't have them, we would be meeting every day, all day, to approve things for council. Were provisional.
Correct.
Thank you.
Or if they delegate to the mayor, then mayor has to be in the office 8 hours a day, so we can get
Thank you.
the same.
Right,
Thank you.
another motion, Councillor McKay, second Councillor Young. Wish to speak to that all, Councillor
No,
McKay?
you've said it all. Thank
No.
you, Mayor.
Procedural.
Mayor
I'll
McPhee.
put the motion. All in favour? Carried. All right, on to section C. Decision which is action ratification. Yep. Council Assemblies, record of attendance and agenda items. Just a procedural motion.
I'll move it.
Moved Councillor Kelly, thank you. Seconded Councillor King, thank you. As I said, procedural, just our attendance and meetings. I'll put the motion, all in favour. Carried. All right. We have no notices of motion. Is there no foreshadowed items, any urgent items not included in the agenda, councillors? Then silence is no. We'll go on to councillor reports. Councillor King, would you like to kick off?
Nothing to report this month, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry, the month has disappeared very quickly, and meetings I normally attend weren't. Several were postponed till next month.
Thank you. Councillor Kelly.
I had a busy meeting. I went to quite a lot of activities, but thank you. I went to a great talk on composting at the library with Natalie Von Wertz-Matthews and Ron Gibbs. Learnt a lot at that. Art gallery consultation, tourism and cultural hub consultation. I did an MAV workshop on sexual misconduct. I went to the Ultramar Progress Association meeting with Laura, and that was great to see the town and hear lots about what's going on there. A Sustainable Living in the Mallee meeting. I went to the town hall to see the alphabet science performance, and I don't have any little kids, but I just went by myself because it was so good. Did you go, Chris? It was very good. Business breakfast at the town hall with some great guest speakers, and coffee with a councillor at Naya on Saturday. So yeah, very busy month, and I think I earned my honorary, whatever you call it. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Councillor Kay.
I went to I'm not reading off anything, and I haven't submitted Nye District Action Group meeting and coffee with the council at the football club and a bit of a tour of the town, and the art gallery consultation, and there was something else, but it's okay. Thank you.
Councillor Young.
This is not necessarily in date order or anything, but I went to the Lake Boga Art Show, the Town Hall Art and Craft Market, Lake Boga Inc meeting, Nye District Action Group meeting, the Business Breakfast, the CCUC, which is the new university project, and the community consultation at the Art Gallery and the community consultation for the hub.
Thank you. Councillor Jeffrey.
Yeah, when I went to the Swan Market Day on the 8th and the 4th, and just want to congratulate Swan Council Economic Department and all the vendors and the trades and the musicians and clowns and everyone else that went along. I think it was probably one of the best days I've had in probably 40 years, is the feedback I heard. So good weather. Turned out to be a really good day and nice and busy. It's really good to see. So congratulations to all those involved. Also went to Harmony Day. That was my first one I've been able to get to, and that was a very good day. I think the committee should be really proud. That was also really good weather, and I think they had probably the biggest crowd ever, so really good. So congratulations to all of those involved. And also attended one of the tourism cultural hub community consultations at the Art Gallery. I believe that's all. Thank you.
Councillor Moore.
Yeah, fairly quiet enough, but picking up where Councillor Jeffrey left off, Harmony Day, which looked like a roaring success to me, a huge crowd, and it just keeps getting bigger and better. And congratulations to all those involved there. I was in a meeting with VNI West along with the Mayor regarding the VNI West connections to the grid, which is pretty topical at the moment down south. Audit and Risk Committee, Agribusiness Advisory Committee meeting, and of course Art Gallery consultation as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. I've submitted a report. There's people are welcome to read it in the minutes, but Harmony Day was a wonderful success. I've been to all of them since we've had them, and it is definitely the best we've had. Big crowd, great to see. And also just last Saturday with Councillor Kelly and Mackay, as they mentioned, I went to the coffee with the council, which has been well received with the football, and it's pleasing to see. And I would also just like to remind people, which I'm continually doing, that the council elections are coming up in 2024, only 18 months away. Start considering yourself to be a councillor. It is a very rewarding role to be, and look forward to having a discussion with you if you choose to go down that line. Thank you. Councillor Kelly, you.
Look, just so many people are talking about Harmony Day, and every year we, speak about how wonderful it is. Could the council show the Harmony Day committee some thanks by possibly, I don't know what would be appropriate, but could I move a motion that we send some sort of thank you to Harmony Day committee? They're such a hard-working committee. I think just to acknowledge, maybe we could meet with them and talk to them about how it's gone, and just show our respect, because really they do so much, and it is probably one of the best festivals of the whole year for our community, and it really does show how diverse our community is and how harmonious it is. Real celebration. So does anyone else have?
Well, I think we've just moved governance rules and we're past this point at the time where we move a motion, but I think it would be appropriate for us to maybe invite the committee along to an assembly where we can have a chat with them and they can explain to us the work we put in, and we can give them the thanks.
We can have an afternoon tea or something.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, councillors. That being said, I shall call it stumps, lift the bails. Can you all remain seated till we get the live stream finished? Thank you. All finished. Thanks, councillors. Yeah, another point, Jackie.
Yeah. And Camille's done an amazing job of facility, many hours of work.
Jackie, I'm just curious where you put your councillor badge when you went to contest.
Yeah, I know. I thought you.
You didn't actually mention that you went to contest.